Okay, before I get into this article about R. Kelly, I want to talk about Angelo Clary for a little bit. Recently, Angelo Clary came down to the Instagram Live to defend Azriel cutting up R. Kelly's coat. And my thing is, Angelo Clary always saying make it make sense. Well, that's what I'm trying to do because by far, none of this stuff makes sense to me. So I got a lot of questions. How is Azriel Clary all of a sudden in therapy? How can she pay for therapy? Because clearly she's unemployed. And why do they be so mad at the blogs for pointing out the obvious? Why are they saying Azriel Clary was with R. Kelly for 5 years, but the time don't add up? And if Angelo Clary is always saying we knew about R. Kelly's history for the past 25 years, clearly they did too, because they have said in multiple videos online and in multiple interviews with mainstream media that they researched him. So they knew what we knew. Before they ever even got involved with R. Kelly, they knew about his long history of allegations, but they still made a conscious decision to want to do business with R. Kelly, to want their daughter to work with R. Kelly. Why Azriel Clary never said no to R. Kelly? If she went in it and it was all about the music, if she saw R. Kelly was trying to get personal with her, why she never cut him off? Why did she lay and stay as long as she did? And if R. Kelly paid the PP girl and her family to leave town during his first trial, why did the ex-bus driver say on Team Truth YouTube platform that the girl, Rashana Landfair, was on a tour bus with R. Kelly every time he went to court? I don't get it. And the thing about the coat, if the coat didn't matter, why did she take the coat to begin with? Why did you take something that didn't belong to you, you didn't have permission to take, and something that will only remind you of the person you're claiming abused you for years? It's been said that Azriel Clary snorts cocaine. Is that true or false? Does Azriel Clary have herpes? When Azriel Clary gave her parents that ultimatum about committing suicide, why didn't her parents have her committed? They had the obligation to do so. They knew that she had previously attempted to do it. So it was either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to be with R. Kelly. So they just let her be with R. Kelly. They didn't try to stop it. I don't get that. Why did they support R. Kelly's music by buying tickets to a show? And why did they take their underage daughter to an R. Kelly show? And where is the police record of R. Kelly kidnapping their daughter Isis and taking her off to Zululand and abandoning her? Why did the Clarys sign a note giving guardianship to strangers shortly after the incident? None of this makes sense to me. Where are all the medical records and police records from all these beatings that Azriel Clary claims R. Kelly gave her? And if the fans have enough evidence to put R. Kelly away for life, what's the point in them coming down to the internet to validate his upcoming trial? Any conviction that may or may not happen. Why they always trying to convince us that everything that they're telling us is true, when in fact it's not, because they've been calling so many lies so many times on so many different platforms. I'm just saying. If Azriel Clara had a career before R. Kelly, why did they need R. Kelly? If the Clarys have all the money they claim they have, why did their daughter's career never pop off? Technically, she still doesn't have a career. She's not signed to a label. She's not in a contract. The closest contract she got is selling fake jewelry on YouTube. If it's true that Azriel Clara ate her own doo-doo, where are the medical records? You can't consume feces and not get sick. That doesn't make sense. That still don't sit too well with me. It just seems like that they're trying to make these stories sound more and more salacious. And when one thing doesn't work, they just keep coming with more and more. I just don't get it. If they were only allowed to wear sweatpants and sweatsuits, as they claim, why is Azriel seen in pictures with R. Kelly wearing very revealing clothes? And since he's been incarcerated, she was online playing dress up in a lot of different revealing outfits at the Trump Tower condo. Y'all remember that? I'm just trying to make sense of it all. Since he said make it make sense. How much of everything that the Clarice blasted the Savages about is true? When he blasted them about James Mason, was it true? Or he was just going on a rant? Because I think that that was true. Because see, now all of a sudden, he's backpedaling. And just recently, he's been caught online defending the Savages. And how did the Savages gain access to R. Kelly's condo to take pictures and videos to put online with malicious intent? I'm not understanding what was their purpose in that. You know, in the video, they stated that the condo was unkept, but R. Kelly has been incarcerated for almost a year. So if the condo was upkept, that was on Azriel and Jocelyn, because they're the only two that were residing in the house since R. Kelly has been incarcerated. I don't know, y'all. It just don't make sense to me. And another thing, out of all the proposals they could have approached R. Kelly with, why did they try to make a deal with him with sex toys? That didn't make sense to me either. I'm just not understanding this stuff. And why is Azriel online telling people R. Kelly is bisexual? What does that have to do with anything? I never understood that. You know, it's just one question after another with me, you know. But it is what it is. Let's get into this article. Either R. Kelly's team is delusional or they have some kind of trick up their sleeve that could shock the world. According to a source close to the singer who spoke exclusively to Hip Hop Hollywood, well, Hip Hollywood, the feeling in his inner circle is that Kelly has a good chance to beat all the charges he's currently facing. Don't be surprised if he walks out of the courtroom with, at worst, probation, claims the source. Which seems almost ridiculous considering that Kelly was slapped with a string of new federal charges in New York just weeks ago. And my thing is this, y'all, the indictment. I lost interest in the indictment after the second or third superseding because it's like y'all don't know what happened to y'all. It's like they making up shit as they go. It's like when one thing doesn't work out, they just add something else. Or when they think it may not work out, they just add something else. If these things happen to you, they would have told Homeland Security, the police, the feds, investigators, detectives, whoever, everything the first time. There would be nothing to retract. But that's just me. The new indictment adds several allegations of abuse from a victim identified as Azriel Clary, and also claims Kelly knowingly spread the herpes virus to two people. And this thing about the herpes, do they not know that they're going to be tested when the trial starts? Everybody who has accused R. Kelly of giving them herpes, they're going to have to be tested. These people are going to have to prove everything that they're stating. And the entire thing about the allegations, I'm so tired of people talking about, well, it's in the indictment. The indictment says, the indictment reads, child, that entire indictment is nothing but allegations. He's been charged, but he hasn't been convicted of anything. So everything that they're alleging is just what they claiming. If convicted, two of the new counts would carry, at minimum, 10-year sentences, according to prosecutors. When asked about those charges and the others pending in both Chicago and Minnesota, our source claimed that Kelly's team is so confident that they turned down a plea agreement. That's a hell of a lot of confidence. While the source did not specify who presented the deal, they claimed Kelly was recently offered a plea agreement that proposed 3 to 5 years of prison time and would have required the singer to register as a level 3 sex offender. And let me tell y'all something about that. All these witnesses and victims and survivors and so on and so forth, all the people that have given statements to the FBI, the police, the Homeland Security, investigators, detectives, whoever, do they not know that they are under investigation as well? That's just how it works, especially in a high-profile case. You can't go in there and tell on somebody without being investigated yourself. That would be considered a mere slap on the wrist for a man who has been arraigned 7 times in little over a year on a number of sex abuse charges. Kelly continues to maintain his innocence, you think, against all the allegations, and according to our source, the singer has plenty of money to mount a vigorous defense. Vigorous, baby. Strong defense team with plenty of energy. They got time for this. Kelly initially told authorities that he is broke and needed to be freed so he could earn money. But according to our source, Kelly is receiving huge royalties from his music. You think? In or out of jail, his royalties don't stop. That man will be getting paid for the rest of his life. And when he dead and gone, his royalties, hopefully, if they got it set up right, will go to his children for the rest of their life. It don't stop. R. Kelly made generational money. In a court filing, prosecutors also suggested Kelly is earning large sums, stating in his first quarter of 2020 alone, Kelly received over $200,000 in royalty proceeds. It should be more than that. Kelly is due in court in the fall, and our source said that the Chicago native will definitely take the stand. I hope not. I tell him to sit down and shut the fuck up and let his attorneys handle that. We don't need no more outbursts like the ones he did in that interview with Gayle King. He don't need to take the stand. R. Kelly need to do everything he did in his first trial. This will be bigger than OJ, the source also added. Expect Kelly to lean heavily on the fact that he can't read or write. So why do he need to take the stand, if that's true? Earlier this spring, we got to look at some of the possible tactics Kelly's team could use in his defense. One of Kelly's lawyers, Douglas Anton, issued a statement insinuating that some of the alleged victims embellished their stories. You think? Changed facts and maybe aren't victims at all. You think? Perhaps these victims, well, my bad. Perhaps these alleged victims are not victims at all, but only women who have been told and instructed, even peer pressured, if you will, years later, that the claimed relationship they freely and voluntarily engaged in should now, in the Me Too era, be classified as bad or abusive. And they are continually seeking to add facts, even if not truthful, to their story to make the alleged event as salacious as humanly possible. You think? And this is what I'm saying, y'all. Girl, you mean to tell me you pooped in a cup and it didn't make you sick? I mean, it just don't happen like that. If you consume feces, you're going to be sick. You're going to have a bacteria infection. You're going to have to go to the hospital. You're going to need some meds. You're going to need to be pumped out. You're going to need some medical attention. You just don't eat poop and then go about your day. It just don't work like that. I'm just saying. Kelly currently locked up at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago, where he has been incarcerated since last summer. He remains jailed without bond. And speaking of his bond, his third Rona release request has been denied. Child, it's always some R. Kelly news going on. Tell me what y'all think.